All right. So, while I was thinking earlier about, the weird way that the artificial collectivist ideas of socialism, Marxism, Salafia Islam, stuff like that. So that's why I want to make sure to touch on this. That's why you're seeing a nationalist movement. Remember that guy, Dan Schufterman or whatever, brought it up. You're going to see a nationalism like that nobody has ever seen before. And it's because the different regions of Islam they're not united. Like Christianity, everybody does it their way. And so now that's going to have to be understood. And movements that are artificial and like especially pan-Islamist movements, or like something like what you see with Hamas, where they're like, oh no, all we've got to do is be Marxist-Leninist and Islam, and that would unite them. And that idea is having some very artificial collectivist idea that unites, and that's beyond culture. And that's a whole big deal. It's got to be meta-cultural, because cultures don't always mix, period. And that's very, very not fun, not awesome pants for a lot of people who they feel themselves outside of the culture. You see this a lot with, once you get to two or so generations of being middle class, see this a lot with suburbanites in the Western world. And now let's go to that. So apparently the secret scholar has found out, don't mess with white men in dresses. Gay white men in dresses run everything. The gay mafia, you fucked with them, you fucked with one of their people, and now they're fucking with you. You messed with them, they're messing with you. He took on ContraPoints, and the thing is, ContraPoints has never been good at debate. ContraPoints has never been good at debating shit. I've never understood why people took ContraPoints seriously, ever. It was such a fucking waste of time watching any of those videos. And, it's like, I'd be like, who is this person? I'm like, okay, this dude is not really pulling this off very well. And so I really like that ContraPoints finally has gotten to this point where ContraPoints is saying the essence of the argument now. That trannies are a minority, that they're their own kind of minority, that LGBTQ, all these non-existent groups are their own minority. Why are they non-existent? Because none of this is about traits. These are not redheads. These are not people who grow beards in some weird way because their beard grows out in a funny way congenitally. None of this, you can't produce a tranny. You can't genetically breed a gay man or a gay woman. It can't be done. And then you hear these biologists. I saw another one of these things with this I'm a biologist. What about intersex people? That's the only argument they have. It's the only argument. That's it. That's where almost every quote-unquote scientific argument about sex people, about gender sexuals, that's where it has to go. It can never be what the sexual revolution and the early part of it was arguing. My volition is up to me. Leave me alone, which was the libertarian part of it. The very libertarian aspect of the sexual revolution had this concept of, why don't you just let me be? Am I bothering you? That kind of thing. But now it's, no, we actually are bigots who think we should be in charge of the culture. You should be thinking us white dudes in dresses are women. You shouldn't just be saying it to humor us. You should be thinking it. You should understand that this is based on some kind of realm of scientific observation and knowledge, which it's not. There's nothing in any way. And actually, the longer you live and the more you look into this thing that's supposed to be some realm of research into human sexuality, you find out actually Almost every claim they make is fucking crap. The scholarship is abysmal. It's almost the example of bad scholarship. All the Greco-Roman claims, bullshit. None of that was ever, none of it's real. It's amazing it's amazing. It's actually like somebody tried to come up with egregious scholarship and make it a field, and that field is gender sexual studies. That's why their departments are being shut down in all these schools, is because now finally people are saying, like, this isn't real research. This isn't a real subject, practically, because of how bad the research is. And, so people, this claim that he was making where he's like, we are a legitimate minority, blah, 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 blah. Actually, I'm not going to take a look in there just yet. It doesn't hold up because it can't be reproduced. And the idea is like something like a druze you've adopted by volition, some set of behaviors. That's a totally different. Now it's a totally different convo. It's a totally different convo, but it has to be the Lady Gaga myth of yada yada yada. I was born this way, and that's not. There's no evidence of that. That's the other issue. There isn't ample evidence that that's ever been true. A lot of people like to just say, oh, I feel things. I had feelings when I was young, and you don't understand because you don't have the capacity to. I can't be crazy or have some kind of defect or no. You guys are some kind of ignorant people, and so they keep throwing out this idea of like, well, if you have this really infinitesimally small number of people who seem to have developed what would be teleologically, like this would be people who they will not stop using their feet to try to manipulate things. And that you're like, why are you doing it that way? And they're like, I've always felt like I'm a foot person. I'm a footer. I only use my feet, and that you're sitting there just like, that's not, how are you going to live? And so this is the thing is now, the whole ContraPoints deal that really got me was this idea of, oh no, you don't think and so then it's, if you don't believe in transphobia, and there we go. No, of course not. Nobody is phobic of the trans. That's non-existent. That doesn't exist. There's no phobia of them. It's that, no, you obviously betray the signs that you're not mentally stable to too many people. There's like, remember the Far Side thing of how nature tells you not to go near something, and it's a cat like with its stuff up, it's like some a snake with its tail rattling, and then there's like a dude wearing like a trench coat, he's got a bazooka, and he's got like a rubber duck floaty around himself, with a pot for a soup pot for a hat. And how nature tells you don't go near that, and so that's like one of these things. Here, hold on. Being that we keep having these situations of, oh, you can't put me in men's prisons, I'm trans. They go in there, they rape, and it's one of these things that, like, I'm sorry, at a certain point, the fact that so many of you do that your group specifically is known for this, that we don't get to act. You don't get to talk down to us from some throne. No. It's just no. We're putting together what you all do, and that's it. I mean, that's just it. that's the real world now, and the real world isn't going to be putting up with this for much longer. That's the other part of it, that ContraPoints is not getting. The change has come. People figured you out. You never won any of your arguments. The trannies never win because their arguments are always garbage, because they're always citing this weird world of Kinsey-esque quasi-science and poorly done scholarship, and so now, and so then people like the secret scholar find out. They end up finding out, oh, you in any way deal with these people. And they come out of the woodwork and they start attacking your channel, DDoS attacks. They start going after you in all of these ways that are honorless, that show a lack of fundamental capacity for honor. And it's like, yeah, that's how far detached from being a man they are now. They're beyond the no accountability zone. They're the nadir of men. They're the nadir of a man. They're not a woman. They're something opposite of man because of how they behave. Like, this isn't just poltroon cowardice. This is beyond that. This is venomous, full of vinegar. They always do this because they will not concede to, no, this is obviously some kind of problem, and so I don't advocate for people to do any this or that, or this is obviously a modern middle class, mostly white American Anglosphere dude problem, and a lot of these punk ass white boys need to just deal with it. And the whole idea, oh, I'm a minority. No, the Filipinos are a minority. You are a gay white man who insists on putting on women's clothes, period. And maybe you're on a lot of drugs. That does tend to seem to be a big part of this, is access to psychiatric drugs that are very expensive, that it would be really nice if the public would pay for them. Universal health care would be pretty nice if we had to pay for all of your problems. This is the community has specifically an issue with this. If people could pay for our medical bills, we would be far less oppressed. Yeah, it's something I've noticed about universal health care. All right, talk to you later.